Hi everyone, welcome. We're preparing to check in on my VermiBag Mini. The system's been in service now for 225 days, and our last check-in 12 days ago was feeding number 18. It was a really soggy feeding because we found stuff to be extremely dry in here, so we tried to compensate for that by coming in with my squirt bottle and really generously, very thoroughly dampening not only the freshly added leafy matter that we spread out across the top, but we also excavated a whole bunch of dry material, brought it up to the middle, and sprayed it all down thoroughly before blending it all back in. And that plastic that was just covering things here hopefully helped preserve some of the moisture. But we have been finding that the bag itself has been allowing for a good bit of moisture to exit. And it's for that reason I've sort of got a little bit of it might even be visible over here. A little bit of bubble wrap plastic that's wrapped around the system to try to help prevent evaporation. Although it only comes down around here, so from here down it's not so well protected anymore. Well, it's not protected at all. So we fed with potato last time, and we didn't stuff the gourds. Couple past feedings we were trying to stuff like pumpkin and strawberry and different stuff down into these gourds, and there is a large enough hole here on the side if we wanted to stuff stuff in there again. But last time we just decided to sort of just aim the opening upwards towards facing up so that when we piled all the potato in on top of it, that perhaps, oh geez, it just cracked in my hand. You heard it. I wasn't really trying deliberately to break it. I was simply trying to empty it. So some of these gourds have really been getting very fragile lately. I mean, it hardly took anything for it to crack that way. It does feel to me like the moisture in here is where I wanted it to be last time when we came in here with the spray bottle. I mean, I got my spray bottle right here on the ready, all set to go if we decided we wanted to add some more moisture, but I'm not getting the sense that that's required, so if it's not needed, we won't bother. Like I said, we were pretty generous dampening the stuff in here last time. And while I expect a little bit to dry out through the sides, out of the bag, the better portion of it is pretty well protected, but with the top covering, I think a little stuff around the edges here and there are going to perhaps get a little bit of dryness. We'll check that on the end. We didn't really till around the outer edges when we first arrived in here. We sort of dug right down into the feeding area. And all I see is really just little bits of leftover potato skins here and there. They've more or less nibbled all the nice juicy remaining potato off the skins. And they'll eventually work the skins down too. And it seems like they did a good job on this leafy matter that was laid out as sort of a top dressing too. They seem to have enjoyed that as well. So I think I'd like to grab my prepared bedding, just because it does seem like a good idea to be generous with the bedding if possible. So let me go grab that really quick. I will be right back. Well, my prepared bedding is starting to run a little bit low here, but I think we've got enough to spare for a nice generous handful at least down here in the feeding area. Nice little foundation of fresh bedding, and there's still some of that leftover stuff. And then we'll just start coming in here with the old and the new. The new is just a kind of a mishmash of different stuff. It also includes a day's worth of coffee and the filter. So the filter could come in here as sort of a feeding zone indicator, which we do once in a while. These are all stems of pumpkin, if I'm not mistaken, or most of them are. It's possible that we've already begun cracking into them here and there. I think we might have done that a couple times here. So, oops. Amazing how fragile these gourds are becoming. Just hardly touching them and they just want to shatter. But last time too, we left them up like this so that when the foods came in, that they would drop down into the holes, giving the worms a incentive to go inside and explore. But you know, if you ask me, it seems like they were definitely exploring the insides of all of these quite thoroughly. How does that look? Stick a pepper right into the end of that one. I've also got a banana. Well, you know, let's just remove the coffee temporarily and then shake in what remains. Seems like a pretty generous feeding. Then again, we got a good number of worms living in here too that need to be fed, so I believe it's right sized, if you ask me. So before we can cover up, we got to deplete the last of the food supply here. So there's a day's worth of coffee, and a lot of times I'll come in with my worm chow. Look at that, I just did a replenishment of my supply. So I just ground up a whole bunch of, in this case it's mainly pumpkin seed, a little bit of bird seed, a little bit of peppers. Every time I eat a pepper, I always like take the seeds off. That's why you notice that pepper core had no seeds on it, because they were all set aside and dried and included in my worm chow. So besides the worm chow, I usually, not always, but a lot of times include a little bit of pulverized eggshell, which is the grit my worms get, and that's pretty much our feeding. So I've got my water bottle here, and I'm prepared to provide more dampness if it's needed, but so far we've not gotten that sense that it will be necessary. But you know what, let's do a quick till around the edges. Anything that I can pull out that seems a little bit dry, perhaps we'll just stack it up and give it a quick shot. Doesn't take anything more than maybe a minute or two to rehydrate some of this stuff that's getting a nice boost of airflow and ventilation out the sides. But I guess the drawback of that is that with the added airflow, there's also the loss of moisture through evaporation. So we've got ourselves a nice pile of stuff, and I haven't watched the video from last time. As I was dampening this stuff, and as it got nice and damp, I started returning it down to the sides. Here and there, a worm would be seen kind of getting a nice little shower, and I got a feeling that they appreciate this. I got some coffee in here too. Let's set that aside. Let's complete the hydration of the material that we excavated. I think that was about it, right? That is nice. And this water's not even completely cold. I just filled up my sprayer, and it was kind of lukewarm. So it's not even cold water that they're getting. It's actually nice warm water. It feels good on my hands too. So it does seem to me like being really generous with the water is a-okay in this system, at least, because I'm pretty sure that I sprayed my wand here perhaps for a period of time that was probably twice as long as what we just did now, and even this seemed like a lot. So what we put in last time was perhaps more than a lot. It was like really a lot. But that's it for our check-in, everyone. Let me get our top covering plastic here. Not a whole lot to it. It's just kind of nice to tuck it in around just so we can limit the amount of evaporation that happens out through the top surface. The evaporation that happens through the bag will, I guess, happen, but you know, like I said, I got this bubble wrap around some of it. Perhaps if I had more of it, I'd be better protected. So that's it for the video, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.